Let me tell you something straight. Success isn't just about what you do. It's about what you stop doing. Most people think the secret is working harder, hustling longer, adding more strategies, more tools, more hacks. Here's the truth. You're not losing because you don't know enough. You're losing because you keep doing things that sabotage your own success. Think about it. How many times have you caught yourself holding back because of fear? How many times did you waste precious energy comparing yourself to someone else instead of focusing on your own lane? How many opportunities slipped right through your fingers because you were waiting for the perfect time that never came? This isn't about motivation for one night. This is about rewiring the way you think, the way you move, the way you live. Because if you don't stop the wrong things, the right things will never have room to grow. So today, not here to give you 9 tips you'll forget tomorrow. I'm here to show you 9 toxic patterns that are silently destroying your progress, 9 habits that are stealing your confidence, your energy, and your future. And when you cut these out, your life won't just change, it will transform. If you stay with me, I promise you this, by the end of this message, you'll see exactly why success has been slipping through your hands, and you'll know exactly what to do to take it back. Not someday, when things calm down, right now. We've been taught since we were kids to wait for the right time. Think about it. How many times in your life have you said, I'll start when things calm down, I'll do it when I'm ready, or I'll make my move when the timing is perfect? And yet, when has that perfect time ever actually shown up? The truth is, it doesn't exist. The perfect time is a lie we tell ourselves to justify staying in our comfort zone. It's the trap of hesitation, the addiction to safety, the disguise of procrastination. And as long as you keep waiting for that magical moment when everything aligns, you'll be standing in the same place 5 years from now, wondering why nothing has changed. Life doesn't reward those who wait, it rewards those who move. Action is the catalyst for transformation, not timing. The people you admire, ones you see building businesses, creating impact, achieving dreams, they didn't get there because the stars lined up in their favor. They didn't wake up one morning with all the money, all the confidence, all the resources, all the clarity they needed. No, they started before they were ready. They moved when they were scared. They acted in the middle of chaos, uncertainty, and self-doubt because they knew that waiting doesn't create certainty, action does. You see, waiting for the perfect time is like waiting for the ocean to stop having waves before you learn how to swim. You're asking life to get easier so you can feel comfortable enough to finally try. But life will never get easier, you just get stronger. Waves don't stop, you just learn to ride them. And the only way to learn is to jump in. If you're waiting for calm waters, you're going to spend your whole life standing on the shore. What you have to realize is this clarity comes through motion. Not meditation. People believe if they just think about it long enough, if they just map it out perfectly in their mind, then they'll feel confident enough to begin. But it doesn't work that way. Confidence is built through execution, through doing, through failing forward. The person who takes imperfect action will always outperform the person who endlessly plans for perfection, because action creates feedback and feedback creates growth. Every step forward, even if messy, gives you data. Every risk you take shows you where you're strong and where you need to adapt. But if you don't move, if you just keep waiting for the right time, all you're doing is rehearsing failure. Think about the opportunities you've already let pass because of hesitation. Think about the ideas you had that never left the page, the conversations you wanted to start but never did, chances you had to change your life but told yourself, not yet. Where would you be right now if you had acted in those moments instead of waiting? How different would your life look? And here's the sobering part. Those chances don't come back. They pass. They go to someone else who was willing to move. Life rewards decisiveness. I know some of you are thinking, but I don't feel ready. Let me break it to you. You never will. Readiness is a myth. Nobody feels ready to step into the unknown. Nobody feels fully prepared to start the business, make the investment, step on the stage, leave the job, have the difficult conversation. Readiness comes after you act, not before. It's the product of courage, not the prerequisite. Waiting to feel ready is like waiting to feel confident before you go to the gym. It doesn't happen. You build confidence by lifting the weight, by taking the step, by walking into the fire. That's how it works. I've seen people live their entire lives waiting. They wait to pursue their passion until they have more money. They wait to travel until they're older. They wait to say, I love you until the timing is right. They wait to forgive until the other person apologizes. They wait to change until circumstances change. And in the end, they run out of time because the harsh reality is this one day, you won't have any more tomorrows left to wait for. And on that day, you won't regret the things you did. You'll regret the things you never allowed yourself to try. Let me be real with you. The reason most people wait isn't because they're being strategic or smart. It's because they're afraid. Dresses itself up in rational clothing. Fear tells you, be patient, the timing isn't right. Fear tells you, just wait until you're more secure. Fear tells you, you'll be ready someday. But fear is lying to you. It's trying to keep you small. It's trying to protect you from the discomfort of growth. But in doing so, it robs you of your future. The cure to fear is action. You can't think your way out of fear. You can only act your way through it. What if you're scared? So what if it's messy? So what if you don't have all the answers? Do it anyway. Because the truth is, the clock is ticking whether you move or not. Time doesn't pause because you're hesitating. Life isn't waiting on you. Every day you spend delaying is a day you'll never get back. And while you're waiting, someone else is out there taking the opportunities you're letting pass by. Someone else is building the business you dreamed about. Someone else is living the life you say you want. The difference isn't talent, luck, or timing. The difference is they stopped waiting. I want you to imagine something. Imagine a year from now. If you keep waiting for the perfect time, will your life look like? Probably the same, maybe worse. But now imagine if you started today. Imagine if you took just one bold step every single day, even while it's messy, even while you're uncertain. Where could you be 12 months from now? The gap between those two visions is the cost of waiting, and that cost is far too high. The greatest breakthroughs, the biggest wins, the most extraordinary lives, they don't belong to people who waited for things to line up perfectly. To people who said, I may not be ready, but I'll go anyway. I may not have everything, but I'll start with what I've got. I may not know the whole path, but I'll take the first step. That's how success is built. That's how legacies are created. So stop waiting. Stop lying to yourself that tomorrow will be better. Tomorrow isn't guaranteed. Your time is now. And if you don't take it, you'll lose it. Fear is the invisible prison that most people live in without even realizing it. It's not the kind of prison with walls and bars. It's far more dangerous because it exists in your mind. It hides in your decisions. It disguises itself as caution, as logic, as being realistic. Fear whispers to you every time you're about to step into something that could change your life. It tells you, what if you fail? It tells you, what will people think? It tells you, you're not ready, you're not good enough, you don't have what it takes. And if you're not careful, that voice becomes louder than your vision. It becomes louder than your passion. Before you know it, fear is steering your life more than your dreams are. The crazy part is this: fear is not real in the way we think it is. It's not a tiger chasing you. It's not a car speeding toward you. It's not a life or death situation. It's a story, a thought, a picture your mind paints about the worst case scenario. And yet most people allow that story to dictate every major choice they make. Fear keeps them stuck in jobs they hate, keeps them from starting businesses they dream about. Fear keeps them silent in relationships where they should be speaking up. Fear keeps them from going after the opportunities that could transform their lives. Here's the truth. Fear has destroyed more dreams than failure ever has, because failure at least teaches you something. Fear teaches you nothing except how to shrink your world smaller and smaller. When you let fear control your decisions, you're not living, you're surviving, you're existing in the smallest version of yourself, the version that avoids risk, avoids rejection, avoids discomfort. And let's be honest, that version feels safe in the moment, but it's suffocating over time. Because deep down, you know you're capable of more. You know there's something inside you that wants to come out, something bigger, bolder, more alive. But fear will convince you to bury it. It will make you believe that safety is the same as happiness. That's the greatest lie of all. The people who achieve extraordinary things don't live without fear. They just refuse to bow down to it. They've trained themselves to move forward, even when their stomach is in knots, even when their voice shakes, when every cell in their body is screaming at them to stop. They've learned that courage isn't the absence of fear. It's action in spite of fear. Courage is fear transformed into fuel. It's when you say, yeah, I'm scared, I'm doing it anyway. Think about it. Every breakthrough you've ever had in your life came on the other side of fear. The first time you spoke up when you didn't want to. The first time you tried something you didn't know if you could do. The first time you stepped out of your comfort zone. That nervous energy, that fear, that was the doorway. And the second you walked through it, you discovered a strength you didn't know you had. You grew, you expanded, you became more than you were before. That's what fear really is. It's not a stop sign. It's a signal that you're standing on the edge of growth. But most people misinterpret the signal. Instead of leaning in, they back away. They feel the fear and retreat, thinking it's a warning to stop. And every time they do that, they reinforce the habit of shrinking. They wire their brain to associate fear with avoidance. And before long, their entire life is shaped by what they didn't do. They don't chase the dream. They don't make the move. They don't take the shot. Not because they couldn't, but because they wouldn't. And years later, they look back and call it regret. Here's what you need to understand. Fear is never going away. It doesn't disappear as you get more successful. It doesn't vanish when you make more money or achieve more things. In fact, the higher you climb, the bigger the fears become. The difference is successful people build the muscle of moving anyway. They've decided that their future is more important than their fear. They've decided that living small is a bigger risk than failing. And they're right, because the real risk isn't falling on your face. It's never even stepping onto the field. So how do you stop letting fear control your decisions? You make a commitment that fear will never be the deciding factor again. You acknowledge it, you feel it, you don't obey it. You learn to separate the story from the truth. You remind yourself that fear is just your brain trying to protect you from discomfort, not from danger. And then you act. You act while your knees are shaking, your heart is pounding, while the outcome is uncertain. You act because you refuse to let a story in your head be the ruler of your life. Imagine if you started doing that today. Imagine if you stopped waiting to feel fearless and just started moving through fear. How many things would you finally pursue? How many opportunities would you finally grab? How many new experiences would you finally allow yourself to have? Life would expand instantly, because the moment you stop letting fear make your decisions, your world opens up. You stop being a prisoner of what if, and you start living in what's next. Here's the irony. Fear doesn't shrink when you avoid it. It grows, it multiplies. The more you back away, the more power it has over you. The moment you face it, the moment you do the very thing it's trying to stop you from doing, it loses its grip. Fear feeds on avoidance. It starves when you act. That's why the fastest way to weaken fear is to walk straight into it. And yes, you're going to fail sometimes. Yes, you're going to get it wrong. Yes, people might laugh or criticize, but here's the truth. Those moments will pass. The sting of failure fades. The embarrassment fades. Doesn't fade is the strength you gain from having gone through it. What doesn't fade is the knowledge that you didn't let fear own you. That's the kind of confidence nobody can take away. That's the kind of freedom that changes everything. So the next time you're at that crossroads where one path is safe and familiar and the other is terrifying but full of possibility, remember this: the safe path keeps you the same. The scary path makes you more. And if you want to succeed, if you want to grow, if you want to build a life that excites you instead of numbs you, you've got to choose the scary path. You've got to stop letting fear be the one behind the wheel. Because if you let fear control your decisions, control your destiny, one of the greatest thieves of joy, progress, and success is comparison. It's almost impossible to escape in today's world because everywhere you look, you're being bombarded with other people's highlight reels. You open your phone and within seconds, you're seeing someone's perfect body, someone's dream vacation, someone's multi-million-dollar business, someone's relationship that looks flawless. And it makes you pause and think, why am I not there yet? What's wrong with me? Why is my life moving so slow while everyone else seems so far ahead? And that right there is the poison that kills your growth. The problem with comparison is that it puts you in a race you were never meant to run. It convinces you that success has a single track, a single timeline, a single measurement. And if you're not at the same pace as someone else, then you're losing. But the truth is, there's no universal scoreboard for life. You're not supposed to look like them, earn like them, live like them, or achieve on their timeline. You're supposed to walk your path, fight your battles, learn your lessons, and create your version of success. The moment you start measuring your worth against someone else's achievements, you rob yourself of the uniqueness that makes you powerful. Think about it. When was the last time you compared yourself and felt energized, empowered, and ready to win? Probably never. Comparison always leaves you feeling smaller because you're comparing your behind the scenes to someone else's polished presentation. You're comparing your struggle to their shine. You don't see the years they failed, the nights they doubted themselves, the sacrifices they made in silence. You just see the result. And you assume that's the whole story. It's like looking at a finished masterpiece in a museum and forgetting the hundreds of messy sketches that came before it. What comparison does is trick you into believing you're not enough. And when you believe you're not enough, you stop trying. Worse, you start living a life that isn't even yours. You start chasing goals you don't actually want just because someone else has them. You start defining success not by what fulfills you, but by what makes you look good compared to someone else. And that's a guaranteed path to misery. Because even if you win, even if you catch up, even if you surpass them, you'll still be empty. Because you weren't running your race. You were running theirs. I've met people who achieved things that society celebrates: money, fame, status, but deep inside, they felt miserable. You know why? Because they didn't do it for themselves. They did it to prove something to the world, to quiet the comparison voice in their head. And when they got it, they realized the world didn't care as much as they thought. And they had wasted years climbing a ladder that was leaning against the wrong wall. You don't want that. You don't want to get to the top of someone else's mountain and realize you never even started climbing your own. Here's the truth. Your only competition is the person you were yesterday. That's it. If you wake up and you're a little stronger than you were yesterday, if you learn something new, if you push yourself further, if you become just a little braver, then you're winning. That's success. That's progress. And that's all that matters. Because when you focus on being better than you were instead of better than someone else, you win every single day. But comparison doesn't just steal your confidence. It also steals your gratitude. You could be living a life that someone else is praying for. And yet, because you're looking at someone who seems to have more, you feel like you have less. You start discounting your blessings, overlooking your progress, forgetting how far you've already come. Gratitude and comparison cannot coexist. When you're comparing, you're blind to what you already have. But when you're grateful, comparison loses its grip because you recognize that your journey is unfolding exactly as it's supposed to. So how do you break free from the trap of comparison? You shift your focus inward. You remind yourself that your story is yours alone. You remind yourself that you have strengths, talents, and gifts that nobody else has. You remind yourself that the timing of your life is perfect for you, even if it looks different from someone else's. You stop asking, am I not there yet? And you start asking, how can I be better today than I was yesterday? Because progress is personal, growth is individual, and success is not one size fits all. It's self-defined. I want you to imagine what your life would look like if you stopped comparing for just 1 year. Imagine if for 12 months, you didn't care who was ahead of you, who was behind you, who was richer, who was fitter, who was smarter. Imagine if for 12 months you only focused on becoming the best version of you. How much mental energy would you get back? How much confidence would you build? How much joy would you create by finally giving yourself permission to run your race? That's the freedom you get when you stop comparing. And don't get me wrong, admiration is powerful. Learning from others is powerful. Seeing someone ahead of you and letting it inspire you is powerful. There's a difference between inspiration and comparison. Inspiration says, if they can do it, so can I. Comparison says they can do it, which means I'm not enough. Inspiration fuels you. Comparison drains you. One builds possibility. The other builds insecurity. You have to be conscious about which one you allow into your mind. At the end of the day, the question isn't, are you as good as them? The real question is, you becoming all that you're capable of? That's the only question that matters. Because when the lights go out, when it's just you and your reflection, you won't be asking how you stacked up against anyone else. You'll be asking if you gave everything you had to the life you were given. And the only way to answer yes to that question is to stop measuring yourself against others and start measuring yourself against your own potential. So stop comparing yourself to everyone else. You're not supposed to be them. You're supposed to be you. There's a truth that most people don't like to face. Your environment is shaping you far more than your willpower is. The people you surround yourself with are influencing your thoughts, your habits, your decisions, and ultimately your destiny. And here's the kicker. You might not even notice it happening. It's subtle. It's invisible, but it's real. If you hang around people who settle, you'll start to settle. If you hang around people who complain, you'll find yourself complaining. If you hang around people who don't believe in growth, you'll start questioning your own desire to grow. That's how powerful proximity is. Think about it. How many times have you been excited about an idea, a goal, a vision, and you shared it with someone that shot it down instantly? They said, that's too risky. Don't get your hopes up. People like us don't do things like that. And you felt the fire inside you dim just a little. You started second guessing yourself. You started wondering if maybe they were right. That's the power of the wrong people. They don't even have to crush your dream outright. They just have to plant a little seed of doubt. And if you let it grow, it will choke out everything you're trying to build. On the other hand, when you're around the right people, everything changes. Right people challenge you. They stretch you. They hold you to a higher standard. They don't let you play small because they see more in you than you sometimes see in yourself. You bring them your excuses and they don't buy them. You bring them your limitations and they push you through them. And suddenly what once felt impossible starts to feel normal because you're in an environment where growth is the standard, not the exception. The truth is we become the average of the 5 people we spend the most time with. That's not just a catchy line. It's reality. If you're constantly surrounded by people who are broke, bitter, and blaming the world for their problems, guess what? You're going to start absorbing their mindset. If you're surrounded by people who are disciplined, ambitious, and driven, that energy is going to rub off on you too. Your associations are either pulling you forward or dragging you backward. If you're serious about success, you've got to get brutally honest about who you're giving access to your life. Now, I'm not saying cut everyone off and live like a hermit. That's not the point. The point is discernment. Who gets your time, gets your ear? Who gets to influence your mindset? Because not everyone should. Some people belong in your past, not your future. Some people are great for reminiscing about old times, but they have no place in shaping where you're going. And if you don't make that distinction, you'll find yourself stuck in the same cycles because you're too loyal to environments that don't serve you anymore. Let's be real. Sometimes the wrong people aren't strangers. They're close to you. They're family, they're friends, they're people you've known for years. And that makes it harder because you don't want to feel like you're abandoning them. But here's what you have to remember. You're not abandoning them. You're choosing not to abandon yourself. You're choosing not to abandon your future. Because if you stay tied to people who are committed to staying small, then by default, you're committing to staying small too. That's not loyalty, that's self-betrayal. Some of you right now are carrying dead weight. You've got people in your circle who drain your energy, who belittle your dreams, who constantly take but never give, who keep you stuck in gossip, drama, negativity. And you wonder why you feel heavy, why progress feels so hard. It's because you're running a race with people clinging to your ankles. And until you cut that weight, you're never going to experience the freedom of running at your full speed. But here's the beautiful part. When you surround yourself with the right people, your growth accelerates in ways you can't even imagine. Conversation with the right person can replace years of struggle on your own. One piece of encouragement at the right time can reignite a fire you thought was gone. One example of what's possible can expand your vision of what you're capable of. That's why you've got to be intentional. You've got to choose your circle based on your future, not your past. I'll tell you this, you don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your standards. Your standards are influenced by your environment. If you're around people who make mediocrity normal, then excellence will feel unnecessary. But if you're around people who make growth normal, who make discipline normal, make chasing dreams normal, then excellence stops being extraordinary. It becomes your baseline. That's the power of association. And I get it. This isn't easy. It takes courage to distance yourself from the wrong people. It takes courage to outgrow environments that once felt comfortable. It takes courage to admit that some relationships aren't meant to continue into the next chapter of your life. You've got to decide what matters more, keeping everyone happy or becoming the person you're meant to be, because you can't have both. If you're more committed to their comfort than your calling, you'll never live the life you're capable of. The truth is, success isn't just about strategy or skill, it's about alignment. It's about aligning yourself with people who fan your flames, not those who dose your fire. It's about being in spaces that demand your best, not environments that reward your worst. And the moment you make that shift, you'll feel it. Your energy will rise, your vision will sharpen. Your belief in yourself will strengthen, because you're no longer fighting against the weight of the wrong crowd. You're being lifted by the right one. So take a look at your life right now. Who are the 5 people closest to you? Do they inspire you or drain you? Do they challenge you or comfort you into mediocrity? Do they expand your vision or shrink it? The answers to those questions will tell you everything you need to know about why your life looks the way it does. And if you don't like the answer, it's time to change the circle, because the truth is simple. You will never reach your highest potential if you keep surrounding yourself with the wrong people. One of the most common excuses I hear, the most dangerous phrases you can ever repeat to yourself, is, I don't have time. How many times have you said it? How many times have you used those words to justify why you haven't started the business, why you haven't gone to the gym, you haven't pursued the dream, why you haven't had that important conversation with someone you love? I don't have time has become the most socially acceptable excuse of our generation. It sounds reasonable. It sounds harmless. It's slowly stealing your life. The truth is, time is the one resource we all have equally. You, me, the billionaire, the athlete, the artist, the entrepreneur, we all wake up with 24 hours in a day. The difference isn't time. The difference is priorities. Some people use their 24 hours to build, to grow, to create, while others use it to excuse, to avoid, to distract themselves. Saying you don't have time is never really the truth. It's simply saying that something else is more important to you right now. And that's fine if you're honest about it. But when you keep saying you don't have time, you're lying to yourself. That lie is keeping you from living the life you want. Think about how often people use this phrase without even questioning it. I'd love to get healthy, but I don't have time. Yet they can spend hours scrolling on their phone, watching shows, gossiping about other people's lives. I'd love to work on my passion project, but I don't have time. Yet they're up to date with every episode of their favorite series. I'd love to start that side business. I don't have time. Yet they spend weekends numbing themselves instead of creating. It's not a lack of time. It's a lack of ownership. Because the reality is, if something is truly important to you, you'll find a way. If it's not, find an excuse. And here's what's scary. Every time you say, I don't have time, you're reinforcing the belief that you're powerless. You're putting yourself in the role of a victim to your schedule, as if time controls you instead of you controlling time. You start believing you're at the mercy of your circumstances, your job, your responsibilities, your obligations. But the truth is, you are the one choosing. You are the one deciding what gets your energy, your attention, your hours. And if you don't take ownership of that, then your life will always feel like it's slipping through your fingers. Here's what people forget. You can make more money. You can create more opportunities. You can even rebuild your health if you've lost it, but you can never get more time. Once today is gone, it's gone forever. And yet people treat time like it's infinite. They say, I'll do it someday. Get to it eventually. But someday isn't on the calendar. Eventually is code for never. And before you know it, 5 years have passed, 10 years have passed, and you're still telling yourself the same lie. That's why this phrase is so dangerous. It makes you believe you're buying time when in reality, you're wasting it. So how do you break this cycle? You start by telling yourself the truth. Instead of saying, I don't have time, say, it's not a priority, because that's the reality. If you say you don't have time to work out, what you're really saying is, my health is not a priority right now. If you say you don't have time to work on your dream, you're really saying is, my dream is not a priority right now. That's uncomfortable, but it's honest. And once you're honest, you can start making new choices. It's not about trying to fit everything into your schedule. It's about cutting out what doesn't matter. Because the truth is, most people don't have a time problem. They have a focus problem. They spend hours on distractions, low value activities, on things that don't move the needle. They say yes to everything and wonder why they have no time left for what matters most. If you want to change your life, you've got to get ruthless about where your hours go. You've got to stop treating your time like it's cheap and start treating it like it's gold, because that's what it is. It's the most valuable thing you own. Think about it this way. If someone stole $100 from you, you'd be furious. Every day you let people, habits, and distractions steal hours from you and you don't even flinch. You give away your time to things that don't serve you, and then you wonder why you don't have enough left for what matters. That's the shift you need to make. You need to start guarding your time like your life depends on it, because it does. And here's the beautiful thing. When you stop saying, I don't have time, and start owning your choices, you feel more powerful instantly, because you're no longer a victim of your schedule. You're no longer pretending that time is out of your hands. You realize that you are in control. You can choose to wake up earlier. You can choose to shut down distractions. You can choose to stop giving your time to people who drain you. You can choose to invest your hours into things that matter. And when you do, your life transforms, not because you got more time, because you finally used it wisely. I want you to imagine something. Imagine that every day someone deposited $86,400 into your bank account. There's one condition. Whatever you don't use by the end of the day disappears forever. What would you do? You'd use every single dollar, right? You wouldn't waste a cent because you know it's gone at midnight. Well, that's exactly how time works. Every day you get 86,400 seconds, and whatever you don't use intentionally is gone forever. You don't get to roll it over. You don't get to save it for later. And yet most people waste it like it's nothing. They treat it like it doesn't matter until one day they wake up and realize they're out of time. So you've got to stop saying, I don't have time. Because every time you do, you're giving away your power. The truth is you do have time. You're just choosing to use it elsewhere. And the moment you accept that, the moment you start taking responsibility for your time, instead of blaming the clock, you unlock the ability to create whatever life you want. Because in the end, it's not about how much time you have. It's about how you use the time you've got. One of the biggest killers of dreams is not failure. It's overthinking. It's not that people don't have ideas. It's not that they don't have opportunities. It's that they stay stuck in their heads, analyzing every possible angle, imagining every possible outcome, waiting for perfect clarity before they take a step. They sit at the edge of the pool, dipping their toe in the water, telling themselves they'll jump when it feels right, when they know for sure, when they've mapped out every scenario. And the truth is, they never jump. They drown in their own thoughts before they ever get in the game. Overthinking feels like progress because you're busy. You're planning, you're researching, you're making lists, you're playing out scenarios in your mind. It gives you the illusion of movement without actually moving. But here's the reality: thinking without execution is wasted energy. You can plan all day long, but until you act, nothing changes. You can rehearse the speech in your head 100 times. Until you deliver it, it doesn't count. You can write the business plan, design the vision board, talk endlessly about what you're going to do. But until you take the step, until you put yourself on the line, it's just mental gymnastics. The longer you stay in that cycle, the more you paralyze yourself. Here's the real danger of overthinking. The more you think, the more reasons you find not to act. Your brain is designed to protect you. So when you sit in your head too long, it starts magnifying every risk, every possibility of failure, every reason why it could go wrong. And before you know it, the idea that once excited you now feels impossible. You talked yourself out of your own dream before you even gave it a chance. Think about how many things in your life you've missed out on because of this cycle. Opportunities you didn't take, relationships you didn't pursue, goals you never started. Not because you couldn't, but because you overthought them to death. You let your mind create problems that didn't even exist yet. And by the time you were done analyzing, the chance was gone. That's the cost of overthinking. It doesn't just delay you, it robs you. On the other hand, execution creates momentum. The second you act, everything changes. It doesn't matter if it's perfect. It doesn't matter if it's messy. What matters is that you've moved. Because when you move, you create feedback. You learn what works and what doesn't. You gain experience. You discover strengths you didn't know you had. You build confidence, not because you thought about it, but because you did it. Confidence never comes from overthinking. It comes from execution. Some of you think you need clarity before you move. It's actually the opposite. Action creates clarity. You don't figure it all out in advance. You figure it out as you go. You adjust, you pivot, you adapt. But none of that is possible until you start. Most successful people in the world didn't have it all figured out when they began. They launched before they were ready. They started the business without knowing every answer. They got on the stage while their voice was still shaking. They wrote the book when the ending wasn't clear yet. They didn't wait for perfect. They acted, and clarity came because of execution. Overthinking is rooted in fear. Fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of making the wrong choice. Here's the irony: by avoiding action to escape failure, you guarantee failure. Because not acting is the worst decision of all. At least if you try and fall, you learn, you grow, you get better. But if you overthink and never act, you gain nothing. You stay stuck exactly where you are, watching life move forward without you. Let me tell you this: you are never going to think your way into certainty. You're never going to get to a point where you have 100% assurance that everything will work out. Life doesn't work that way. If you wait for that, you'll be waiting forever. The only way forward is to act in uncertainty, to take steps even when the outcome isn't guaranteed, to trust that you'll figure it out as you go. That's how breakthroughs happen, not by thinking your way into perfection, but by acting your way into progress. So you've got to make a decision right now that execution is more important than perfection. That action is more important than overthinking. You've got to train yourself to move quickly, to act on your ideas, to put yourself out there before you feel ready. Because speed matters. Life rewards decisiveness. The longer you wait, the harder it becomes. The more you hesitate, your brain fills the gap with doubt. But when you move fast, when you act on inspiration immediately, you bypass the trap of overthinking and you build momentum before fear has a chance to catch you. Imagine what your life would look like if you stopped overthinking for just 1 year. Imagine if every time you had an idea, you acted on it within 24 hours. Every time you felt inspired, you took a step instead of second guessing. Every time you thought, maybe I should, you immediately did. Can you see how different your life would be? How many projects would be started? How many conversations would be had? How many doors would open? Simply because you stopped killing your ideas in your head and started bringing them to life. And the truth is, you don't need to know the whole path. You don't need to see 10 steps ahead. You just need to take the next step. That's it. Success is built one step at a time, and overthinking convinces you that you need the whole map before you begin. But you don't. You need courage for the next move, and the faith that when you take it, the next step will appear. That's how it works. Step, then clarity, step, then opportunity, step, then growth. So stop overthinking. Stop sitting on the sidelines of your own life, waiting until you feel certain, waiting until you feel ready, waiting until you've thought it all through. You're not going to think your way into success. You're going to act your way into it. And the sooner you start, sooner you'll realize that the only thing that was ever in your way was the story in your head, because nothing changes until you execute.